of Judicial Service Commission, and I welcome you for this interview.
Thank you, my lady.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Isaac Ruto is my name, also Vice Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon.
Jacqueline Ngutia, Commissioner. Welcome and all the best.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Good afternoon, Mheshimiwa.
Good afternoon.
Zilani Caroline, karibu.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Commissioner.
My name is Charity Kisotu, a commissioner, and you are welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner.
All right.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Umwanza Umbati, karibu.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good afternoon, Commissioner.
Anton Rima, karibu sana.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Good afternoon, Mheshimiwa.
Good afternoon, Commissioner.
Fatuma Sichale, karibu sana.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, Commissioner.
You are welcome. My name is Olwande Evelyn.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yes, thank you, Commissioners, for that introduction. Honorable Kombo, if you could start by telling us your county and your ethnicity.
I am from Machakos County, and I'm a Kamba.
Very well. Relax, and we are going to have a conversation. We like to make it a conversation, although it's an interview.
Yes.
Because we want you to relax and bring out the best in you for this interview. So if you could begin by telling us why you think we should recommend you for this position of a judge of the High Court. If you could give us your overall vision of this position of a judge. We had a stakeholder engagement, and we were told the kind of a judge we should look for, in addition to what is in the Constitution.
Yes.
We should really look for committed, hard-working, heavy lifters of judges. Nobody to give any excuse for anything but to work conscientiously, ethically, and with absolute probity. So you can tell us how you fit in that bill in 5 minutes.
Thank you, my lady. Let me start first of all by introducing myself again. My name is Felix Kombo. I am an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. I'm now doing my 24th year post-admission. In those 24 years, I have been a practitioner, practicing law. I have also been an in-house counsel, and I have been a judicial officer. It is in the judiciary where I've served longest, which is 20 years. Now, I think I joined the judiciary in 2004. And in those 3 areas, I have garnered a lot of experience, starting with my practice as an advocate after admission, although it was not very long. I gathered a useful experience that has been I've deployed in my current work. My next place of employment was the State Law Office, where I was serving the public. I was able to interact and understand the values of service in that context. And then I joined the judiciary, where I've done 20 years. And in those 20 years, I have had extensive experience all around. I've been a leader in the judiciary. Even now, I'm head of station. I've led in 3 stations to date. I have served in other capacities in the judiciary. I was a member of the committee that wrote the criminal procedure bench book, serving alongside eminent jurists, and it was a very good experience. I have been nominated by this institution and the other where I served to represent them in local and international fora. For example, I represented this institution twice in the Conference of State Parties for the UN Convention on Against Corruption when I was serving in that court, and I think it was a great experience for me. I have interacted with the public in across all those places. I believe I bring a wide diversity of experience that is important. I bring dependability, I bring loyalty. I've been depended upon by the institution and others to serve. I have impeccable integrity. I have a clean record. I have never been asked by this commission to explain my conduct at any one time. And I believe that I'm also very able in communication. I'm a very good communicator. I'm the immediate chairman, actually, of the Auctioneers Licensing Board, which is again another example of dependability, again picked by this institution and trusted with that serious responsibility, which I executed well without any complaint. So, my lady, I believe that with that diversity, with that loyalty, with that trust, with my impeccable integrity and moral probity. And I should add that I served in the Anti-Corruption Commission for 8 years. I think I'm the longest serving judicial officer in that institute, that court. I think that by itself is a pointer to the kind of person I am. I have very high integrity and moral probity, and I believe that I have all those attributes combine well to project me for this position, my lady and honorable commissioners.
We will go into more details
Yes.
into that, and I'll hand over to Commissioner Mwanza to take the next set of questions.
Thank you, Chief Justice. I can give you a minute to open your order.
I am okay, Commissioner.
All right, thank you. Now, one of the grounds that come in terms of constitutional litigation before the High Court is the issue of public participation.
Yes.
So there are several decisions that have been made by the Supreme Court on public participation. The earlier decisions that one can recall is CCK versus Royal Media. There is British American Tobacco versus Cabinet Secretary Health, where those decisions were lauded as, bringing out the issue of public participation as being participatory, inclusive, reasonable, and that shows demonstrable commitment. Now, recently, the Supreme Court also delivered a decision, National Treasury versus Okoiti. This is the Finance Act judgment, if you've read it, and there's been criticism that there was a departure in this latest decision on the issue of public participation. Are you able to tell us what you think was the departure, number one, before I ask the second and the last question? Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. In relation to the decisions that are about public participation, I know that there has been an issue about what the way that whole process should be executed. I know there has been discussion around that, and I know that has still been an issue of debate. I may not be so clear about what the departure here was, but in a general sense, I could say that the whole issue about public participation the issue has always been, how should this be manifested by the entities when they are applying that principle?
Okay, so my last question is as follows. If there is a requirement that before a law is, passed and goes through all the process and is enacted, the public must be involved through public participation.
Yes.
So if a bill is prepared and then there is public participation, then it's presented, and on the second reading of the bill, Parliament makes substantial amendments from what the Parliament presented to the public as the initial bill. Is there a requirement that those amendments are also subject to public participation?
I don't believe that those amendments should be subject to further public participation. The assumption should be that public participation, when it is undertaken, it's a step in a progression.
But what if the amendments are substantial from what was presented to the public?
I still think that now it would be for the other entities along the process to deal with that. I don't believe that the process should be paused so that the promoters of the law, for example, can go back to the public, get further views, and come and continue the process. I think that would be a bit of an aberration if it were to happen that way.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Kombo.
Yes, Commissioner.
One question from me.
Yes.
But I like it when candidates say they are very strong in integrity, because I identify with that very easily. But that's a story for another day.
Yes.
Section 134 of the Evidence Act provides for privileged communication between an advocate and a client. Did you say you had been an advocate in private practice?
I was, though not for very long, yes.
Yes. Are there exceptions to this rule?
Yes, there is.
What are those exceptions?
The privilege will not, first of all, the privilege belongs to the client. The privilege is the client who can waive it for the client. That's one.
Yes.
Meaning that if the client is not does not want to assert it, then it can't be asserted. Secondly, it is not applicable in situations where there is a crime that has been committed. If an advocate has committed a crime, the transaction involves a crime.
The advocate has committed a crime.
Yes.
So
Yes, in the context that they can't assert it, if it cannot protect the advocate, there will be no protection if a crime is involved in the process.
is it a crime that has been in? If the advocate commits a crime, is he
Okay,
not going to be held solely responsible?
No, let me say if there's fraud or such a scenario that is involved in the transaction.
So basically, maybe what you're saying is that if the transaction is unlawful.
Yes, that's basically what I'm saying.
Okay. So apart from that privileged communication, supposing an advocate witnesses his client committing an unlawful act or a crime for that matter.
Yes. The advocate, is it in the context of what the advocate is supposed to do in that case, Commissioner?
Okay, it is in the course of that engagement.
Yes.
Or relationship.
Yes.
It has arisen out of that relationship, not
Yes.
just as a bystander,
Yes.
but because of that relationship.
Yes. I think that because, as I said, the privilege belongs to the client, then the advocate may not act within that context, but may have to act within other contexts. He has an obligation, for example, to report a crime, for example, and to have it pursued or investigated.
All right.
Yes.
Fair enough. Thank you. That's all, CJ.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Honorable CJ, and Honorable Kombo once again. Welcome. I'll take you to the removal of the CEC members. You're aware who CEC members are?
Yes, I'm aware.
County Executive Committee members.
Yes.
Some members of the Executive Committee of the county governments.
Yes.
Now, there is a procedure which is provided for in law for their removal. A special tribunal, a special committee is supposed to be set up in the assembly, 2/3 vote for removal. Now, let us take it that an assembly has unanimously voted for removal of a CEC. Does that resolution of the county assembly in itself amount to automatic removal, or should the governor formally dismiss the CEC member?
The resolution of the assembly would not amount to removal.
What should happen?
What should happen is that the board, there's a board that the county public service board is the one that would be mandated to deal with the situation and make a decision around it.
Okay, so if I get you right, you're saying when the special committee of the assembly makes that resolution to remove, the matter is taken to the public service board.
That is what I'm saying, Commissioner.
Okay, we need to look at that. And apart from this process, which is provided for, can the governor, on his own motion, remove a CC?
Could I, maybe I can revisit the earlier question.
The other one,
issue.
please.
Let me revisit.
Yeah.
I want to change my response to
Proceed.
that a resolution would amount to a removal of the CEC member.
Okay.
Yes, I want to change to that.
No, it's okay. You'll still look at it.
Yes.
The role, I mean, there's a role the governor plays.
Yes.
After the resolution of the assembly, there's a role the governors play. You look at it.
Yes.
What about the other issue?
If you don't mind to just ask again, Commissioner.
Whether the governor
Yes.
can suo motu remove a CC, or he or she must pursue the avenue through the assembly.
No, the governor cannot remove the CEC member. He must, as I said, there's a board that is vested with matters public service in the county, and that should be the competent body to deal with issues relating to removal of those members.
Okay. The subject has been litigated several in court, and I think the law is very settled. We may need to look at it. Thank you, and I wish you well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, Commissioner.
Do you want to take some water? Are you okay?
I could take a sip.
Okay, thank you. Okay. I've gone through your sample writings. You shared a paper on active case management and decisions in civil and criminal matters. Those criminal matters were anti-corruption related cases. They demonstrate consistent clarity, strong legal reasoning, and precise issue identification. You're able to link laws into facts with thorough application of statutes, case law, and constitutional principles. Use of precedent is appropriate, and your writings reflect pragmatic and positive legal philosophy.
Thank you.
The arguments are coherent, consistent, and logically structured. Your tone is professional and impartial. So I commend you for that.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Which rights under the Bill of Rights are linked to right to life? Or is it just that one right to life that we should focus on? Are there other violations of the rights as provided for in the Bill of Rights that can amount to violation of the right to life?
I probably would think of the economic social rights.
Mm-hmm. In particular, which one? And how do you link it to right to life?
The right to an attainable the highest attainable standard of living, of health. That
So
would
how is
be-
it linked to? How is it linked to right to life?
I would link it in the sense that failure to uphold that right is a threat to the right to life itself.
Which
Failure
other right?
to observe that. The right to a clean and healthy environment would also be linked to that, because again, failure to uphold that right or undertake it also directly threatens the right to life. Also the right to adequate food of good nutrition. I think I would also link that to that. And maybe a bit remotely, the right to earn a living, to employment and to earn a livelihood. I think could also be linked in certain circumstances to the right to the right to life itself.
Okay. Yes. And lastly, the issue of human dignity, is it linked only to individual rights or realization of the common good?
Human dignity.
Explain your answer. Yes. Is it only strictly linked to individual rights, or it's supposed to be linked also with the realization of common good of the human race?
I think the right to human dignity was deliberately left open-ended in this constitution, because it was not intended to be confined to just the rights that I listed, first of all, in the constitution. It's an all-encompassing right, a basket where I think you can throw in anything, and it would qualify. So my answer would be that it is an all-encompassing right that probably there's a bit of every other right in that right, in my view. Yes.
And can you package it not just as an individual right, but also the common good right for the greater society? Or you just have to concentrate it within an individual right claim?
The examples I gave, if I flip the response, again also, or just like they bear on the right to life, also bear on the right to dignity. For example, housing, a dignified existence is also a matter of dignity. A healthy population is a matter of dignity. And so I think it can be, it's a right that should not really just be confined. It can also be, it's also a group thing, it's also a collective right, which can also be claimed both individually and collectively. Okay. So I think in that sense, Honorable Commissioner, I would assert my answer that it's a right that transcends the cadre of just in being individual.
Okay, common good of the people.
Common good of the people.
I do agree with you. I am, because we are.
Thank you.
Ubuntu. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening.
Good evening, Commissioner.
So I have your results here, or your report from DISPOP. I don't know if you're given a copy.
I got a copy, yes.
Yes, is it accurate?
I believe it's substantially accurate.
Okay. So now, the report shows you quite well. For the period between July 2025 and December 2025, that's the first half of this financial year, out of the station's output, you are carrying 30%.
That would be true.
Against what was expected of you of 17%.
Yes.
How many people are in your station?
Now there are 5. But the reason that those results are that way is because for quite a while, there are only 3 of us in the station.
How many? You said you are 5 now.
Now we are 5.
The period between July 25 and December 25, how many were you?
In that period, we were 4. No, we were 3.
There was 3 of you.
We were 3 of us, yes.
Okay, I'm seeing here they are expecting 17% from you, because if you were 3, then there should be 33%. Would you tell us why they were expecting only 17% of the output from you?
If I'm not wrong, Honorable Commissioner, it could be probably aligned to the targeting that we did at the station.
No, this is not about targeting. This is basically comparing the total output of the station
the output.
and how much of it
The
can be
output.
attributed to
Yes.
you.
Yes,
So they say here you are expected to carry only 17%,
yes.
but you are doing 30%, which in my view then would seem like you are doing the work of 2 judicial officers and more, while you have other colleagues in the station, about 6 if my math is correct,
Yes.
who are not doing much.
I can explain that.
Yes.
I envision myself, first of all, as a champion of ADR.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, I was the one who was carrying that kind of vision. I was carrying more of that than my other colleagues, if I can say that, without casting any aspersions.
Mm-hmm.
Because it affected their output, because they didn't really want to deploy that in their courts. But I deployed it fully. Although I was a bit discouraged, but I deployed it, and it bore fruits, and that would explain my numbers in the station. In the station being way higher than the numbers for my colleagues, because I deploy that very vigorously in my court in particular.
Okay, I would say that that is borne by the report, which basically says that almost 4 times the number of cases you handled by merit were resolved by other means.
Yes.
Now, the other thing I wanted to ask about your report, your case clearance rate is quite low, and so is your court productivity, especially when compared to the national average. What could be happening? Because I see here almost half the cases you have a backlog. Your backlog is almost at 50%, according to the report we have here.
Yes.
Yet your case clearance rate is only 85 against 104 national average, and your court productivity, that is basically the amount of work each magistrate can be attributed to each magistrate, is 225, while nationwide is 370.
Yes.
What is happening?
I can explain that.
Mm-hmm.
First, during the period of consideration, I was also the chair of the Auctioneers Licensing Board.
Mm-hmm.
So I was doubling up both functions, and I was also head of station.
That is not even an explanation, because you are doing quite well. For yourself, you are doing quite well,
the clearance,
despite all that.
Yes, thank you.
But it appears the others are almost doing minimal work compared to you, and that must be what affected the case clearance rate as well as the court productivity.
Yes, of course, Honorable Commissioner, when you deploy yourself in the manner that I have, you all need to be moving in tandem, because this percentage is based on the output of all of us.
Okay.
And therefore, it could be, and I think it is, that I have a work ethic. I've maintained a work ethic, an impeccable work ethic.
Okay.
I go hard. I work very hard, and so that difference in our approaches to work and the work ethic that we individually bear could explain that.
Okay.
It could explain that.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Mheshimiwa, and I wish you well.
Thank you, Honorable Commissioner.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Mheshimiwa, I have 1 or 2 questions for you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Now, how would you handle allegations of corruption against staff in your court?
Staff. I'll explain. Before we had a structure, and now that we have a kind of structure. Allegations of corruption, I handle them before we had a structure that was dedicated to that. These matters were handled by in the context of the Court Users Committee. That is. You said staff or staff?
Staff.
Okay, we handle that within the context of the station leadership team, if it is staff. And again, of course, because we have a duty also to...
You are the head of the station.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have a duty to keep the image of the station intact, and therefore I would table those matters before the leadership team, wherever we got some, and we'll discuss them, and then we would deploy different means. We would try peer review. If it can work, we would get people who are close to those people and try to talk to them. Or I would just talk to them myself directly. I would call them to my office and tell them, you know, this is not ethical and it can't continue that way. So that is how I would handle them before.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have a structure. But now we have an integrity committee that was formerly now formed as a policy of the judiciary, which has now become the focal point for matters integrity in the station. So those matters are now tabled in that committee. It's a multi-stakeholder committee which can discuss, and then we can escalate the recommendations of that committee to the institution for action.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that is now the context within which we handle them today.
Mm.
Yes.
So in your assessment, is it working?
The integrity committee.
And is it improving the public confidence? Yes.
Yes, it is. Just the mere mention of having the committee was well received by all stakeholders, the public in particular, because we have had every station has those challenges. I will not say mine does not have them.
Mm.
Yes, they have been there. But having that committee was a good indicator of where we want to go. And I would say that although the concept is still in infancy, I would say that based on the reception that we have had and the feedback that we are now getting, I forecast that it will be a good method of handling those kinds of situations at the station level.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. I wish you all the best.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Honorable CJ. Mheshimiwa, I have just 2 questions for you.
Yes, Commissioner.
How do you deal with issues of conflict in your station?
Conflict of interest.
No, conflict
Oh,
with
conflict, okay.
one another.
Oh, yes. I came from when I was working in Nairobi. We used to have a kind of peer review. We would peer review each other, and so I took it there. And when parties are having conflict, we try to mediate through the conflict in a peer review context.
Okay.
Yes, that is how we try to deal with that. And more often than not, we get the parties to see that the conflict is either not based on any substance, or that it is counterproductive to their own growth in the institution.
Okay.
Yes.
And you find that works?
That works. Peer review mechanisms work. It's a persuasive mechanism where parties are encouraged to participate voluntarily. And I think evolution always bears fruits.
All right.
Yes.
Now, it was brought to our attention, or to the attention of the Commission, that there was an issue that was happening in Maua, and that was escalated to the Honorable Chief Justice, and it was brought to the attention of the Commission. Would you please tell us what was really happening on the ground?
Yes, Commissioner. Yes, there was an issue. And the issue on the ground was within the judicial officer ranks. It was amongst us. The conflict, it was not, I wouldn't call it a conflict, but it was a scenario of what I would call some kind of rebellion. You know, a number of, I think one particular officer who came to my station in February last year, found structures at the station that had been implemented even before I went there, some of them, and she decided that she had her own way of working and her own methods, and she was not going to follow those structures. And that became a big issue of back and forth between me as the head of station and this officer. And because I don't have the power to sanction judicial officers belongs to this body here, my hands were tied to a degree. I tried to use persuasive methods to deal with the situation, but that did not work because, first of all, the officer was not willing to engage. She perceived that she was being oppressed by when the head of station tries to tell her to, we are running a structure, we have a system that needs everybody's input to work, and therefore some of us can't be going separate directions. But the interpretation of that by the officer was that the head of station is picking her out and trying to pull her down. And
so how did you end up dealing with that issue? Because
what
it was affecting delivery of service.
First of all, because again, as I said, I have a duty to protect the image of the institution, and this matter involved judicial officers. I did not want the issue to blow out because the interpretation out there, we have no control of it. So I tried to keep it internal for a while. Remember, this officer comes in to the station in February, and by April, there is an upheaval in the station. Stakeholders are complaining. Staff are complaining. Everybody is coming to me to provide a solution. And so I try to engage the officer, but because of her interpretation of what the issue is, she does not cooperate. And so after 3 months, my only option now was to escalate this matter to the hierarchy of the institution, which I actually did.
And did you get assistance from the institution?
Yes, it was. I got assistance from this institution in the sense that when the matter it needed to be investigated, and there's a body that is supposed to do that. So the matter I'm aware that the matter went to that body.
Okay.
Yes.
Finally, there was an exchange of communication.
Yes.
Was that, in your opinion, do you feel that was necessary?
Communication in writing?
Yes.
We didn't. Let me, Honorable Commissioner.
There was an exchange
of memos.
Yeah.
Okay, I wouldn't call it an exchange.
Okay.
I wouldn't call it an exchange. My communication, which was now internal within the station, we had to resort to that because, again, I was trying to keep this matter inside the station. I didn't want it to get out. And those memos were actually given to her in confidence, so that the issue doesn't even get to staff. So that's why I used that method, and I didn't want to take this matter to the open meetings of the station, because when we appear to be fighting in the station as judicial officers, then that itself begins to unsettle the confidence, not only within the station, amongst the staff themselves, who look up to us for their own cohesion, but externally.
Okay.
Yes.
Looking back, is there anything you'd have done differently?
Looking back to that particular situation, based on the facts, I think I would not have done anything differently. Because I tried the internal process, it did not work, it didn't function because it requires cooperation and involvement, and that was not forthcoming. And therefore my only option, because again, as I say, my hands are tied, was to escalate the institution, the matter to the leadership, the higher leadership, so that ultimately the ordinary process of dealing with it now outside the station can be initiated.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Mheshimiwa. I wish you very well.
Thank you, Honorable Commissioner.
Yes, okay.
So what is the situation like in Maua now?
Right now, the situation in Maua, Maua is calm, and we are serving the people of Maua with the zeal that they expect from us right now.
All right. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, these questions are meant to make sure that we have capable candidates whom we nominate. And one of the areas we look at is your organizational leadership. Leadership in terms of being able to read the station or to have backlog of cases. When Commissioner Rwanda was going through your performance, it shows Maua really has a huge backlog of cases. So what will you do differently if you are promoted to the High Court that you will not have backlog in your station?
Thank you.
Because we talk about shared leadership in the judiciary.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, my lady. The issue of backlog, what I would do differently to address the issue of backlog.
And first of all, you must demonstrate that you're doing it where you're working.
Yes.
Before you are taken to the High Court where we are struggling.
Yes. I think, my lady chair, the problem of Maua was a bit peculiar. First of all, because of the gaps that have been there in the magistracy levels. So that has contributed to that backlog. Secondly, again, as I explained, the reluctance to deploy the methods that we now have advantage of to push these matters out was also a contributor. So I would continue with my, there's something I would not change. I would not change my zeal, my zest to use all available avenues to get matters out of the system. What Maua is a station where we have a high entry of, there's a heavy entry of matters. And if you don't have an equally vibrant or robust way of getting them out of the system, they pile up very quickly. So one of the things I have done with the station, and that was explaining the numbers, was to find ways of exit points for these matters. And for me, one of the best ones was deploying fully the whole question of matters not really having to go to merit conclusion if they don't have to. So that we remain with a small number that we can deal with. That is one. The other issue that I would apply to, I would use to address the question of backlog is to prioritize, and we have been doing that in Maua as well, because when I went there were some very old matters. Prioritize, and when these new officers came, one of the things I did was to assign the matters on a prioritized basis. I assigned them by year. I took the older matters and assigned them first. Which means that within a year, my lady or so of this new team now, many of those older matters which they got will have been removed from the system.
So you have institutionalized some changes there.
Yes, I have.
The effect of which we will see in the future.
Yes, it will be visible, my lady.
Yes, and I know while you were in the auctioneering board as the chair, the auctioneers went rogue and started bringing down people's houses over the weekend. What do you have to say about that?
The question of the conduct of auctioneers. One of the things that I found in the entity when I went there was that there really wasn't a modernized code of conduct for auctioneers. The methods of getting in new entrants into the auctioneering trade was haphazard. It was not structured. So one of the things I did when I went there was to structure that method of entry. And I did that by requiring, by trying to deploy a bit of Chapter 6 requirements, which were not there. For example, now they had to bring, when they were coming in, they had to bring us a good conduct certificate from the police, for instance.
Is there anything which was done to, especially the auctioneer who brought down a house in, at least I have a case in point in Westlands, they just demolished a house over the weekend.
We might there might, what we were, our mandate in the board was to get complaints from the public who are aggrieved. Then we would hear them. I would want to imagine that we have such a complaint in the board, and that my successors are pursuing that particular matter. Because our mandate is to deal with complaints. We are like, unfortunately, we don't have powers to preemptive, what I can call preventive.
We don't have suomoto powers.
We don't have preventive powers in the Act. And that's partly one of the reasons why we're asking for reforms and some amendments in the Act. Because if we had, we'd be able to deal that. So we only encounter matters when they have happened out there.
The same auctioneers
by way of complaints.
Yes.
Until that happens, we don't have a proactive power to go and try to prevent that before it happens. Those are the reforms that we brought to my lady when we met you, so that we can try to reform that and see how it can assist.
Yes. Finally, I think Commissioner Zirani asked you the lessons you learned, especially from the skirmishes and the boycotts we heard about Maua law courts, which bring the whole institution of the judiciary into disrepute. What lessons going forward so that when you're in a station, JSC is sitting here in Nairobi, CJ is sitting in Nairobi, and we have a whole pillar on shared leadership, that when you are ending a station, you must do everything possible to make that station work properly, because you are a leader. You have been given that mandate as the end of station. Any lessons that you can share with us? And because this is live, even people there would like to hear what lessons and remedial measures.
Okay, one of the things I learned is that it is good to have adequate structures to handle matters like that. That is one thing. So I have what I've done is to try and relook the local structures, the committees that are there, to see how they can be capacitated to be able to deal with that. The other lesson I've learned is that, my lady, things don't happen in a flash. They take time. They take time, and I think it is important for response times to be also quick enough before matters, because matters tend to grow. They tend to grow and gain a momentum of their own, and sometimes when that momentum has fully grown, it becomes very difficult to tame them. So one of the things I would say is that response times, both within the local structures and also within our national structures, are important in addressing that. Another lesson is that I think good communication is very important. Good communication is very important, and engagement, constant engagement, is a good principle. I think when we started engaging, even as the headquarters came and we started solving this problem, and we were engaging even more than the meetings we needed to have with advocates at the station, we began to draw closer to a solution to some of those problems. So I think those are some of the ways, some of the lessons I've picked, and I think they're important for that.
Nice to hear that, because every problem has a solution, because we know where it started from and it can be solved.
Yes.
We take that and wish you well on behalf of the commissioners. We wish you success. And before we release a candidate, we always give them an opportunity to also engage us. And now the floor is yours, Honorable Kombo, to engage with the commissioners.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Mine is I know that I know leadership is not a walk in the park, and all the members in this commission are leaders. That is also a lesson that I would like to add to the list. Leadership is not easy. It needs sacrifice.
It requires courage. And
a lot of courage. So I want to commend this commission for continuing to give us support in the stations. we know that that support comes again as a backdrop of many other considerations, and I would appreciate that, especially being a person who had a situation that I've endured. That would be one. The other thing is that I think I feel safe as a judicial officer with this commission. I feel safe. I feel protected. The business of doing justice is not, again, it's difficult. It's a very difficult business. And while we may err, and we stand to be corrected by this commission, I would also want to appreciate when the commission is firm and independent and also takes care of its own when they are facing especially unwarranted attacks. And now we are in an era where there is almost a relentless, easy communication has made things very easy for everybody, including people who of ill intentions. And I think the commission is doing well to be able to also play its part of ensuring that while we are on the ground doing, holding fort, we feel safe and we feel protected. Thank you very much. Yes.
Okay. Well said. On behalf of the commissioners, we wish you success and encourage you to continue serving the people of Kenya at your very best. We will get in touch with you when we complete the exercise, which is very, very competitive. So we pray that you do well, but that you continue with the spirit of serving Kenyans, because at the end of the day, we serve Kenyans, we serve God in whichever capacity He has given us to serve.
Thank you. Thank you.
You are now released. You can take your writing pad and take our greetings to the people of Maua.
Thank you, my lady.